Welcome to Schooling Around. Some rule changes to the OHS International program, some growth to the DA International Club, and while we're at it, we celebrate the Year of the Rooster and top it all off with learning about code with the kids. Stay tuned. If you walk into Oxford Elementary after school and see a bunch of kids at computers, you can bet they're not on Twitter. It's probably the OES Code Club. These kids are learning the stuff that makes modern things work. Shannon Hay is the teacher in charge, and this group is as big as it can get for now.
This year and last year were double what I had the previous years.
Oh, so how many kids you got this year?
70 again. I cut it off at 70 because that's two groups and I only have so many desks and chairs and computers.
So you could have more than that if you had the room and the people.
And the people, yes.
So what do you think that is? What's causing all the interest?
Well, I think that because kids are using technology so much and because the learning programs I'm using, they use games to teach it, it is very high interest. I think the kids are curious to know what makes programs work and they love to be on the computer.
What do you think stimulates? Is it video games? Is it robotics? Is it Legos?
I mean, there's so many different applications. I think part of it is just the visual of it, and you get this instant feedback because you write some code or you pick some functions and commands, and then you run your code and you see the results of what you did or what you thought, and then you can make adjustments to it. So, and there's really no end to what they can learn. I have some kids, former students, that are way beyond what I can code, and they come back to help, because to get the next generation going.
What I want to know is, how do they explain what they're doing to their grandchild?
I don't know that is something we could probably work on, is getting to try to really understand what we're doing, because they make it so easy to learn that even the young kids, they don't really understand how they're doing it, but they know they can do it, so it's great for them.
But I guess that the fact of the matter is, the underlying fact is it's code that powers computer, makes it work.
Yeah,
is that right?
Absolutely. Well, it's not an operating system, which is a different language. The language that I teach the kids is the language that's most common in games and interactive websites. It's called JavaScript, and it's probably the most important beginning programming language to learn. The nice thing about what we use with code.org is they don't have to be able to type well. In coding, you have to spell and type very accurately or your code doesn't run, so it can be hard for the kids.
So why do kids do this? The answer ranges from the simple to the, well, Let's start with simple.
Because it's fun.
Is it?
Yeah.
And what do you hope to do with this later?
I'm not really sure.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you could get into the Lego stuff or the robotic stuff or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Think you might want to do that?
Maybe.
Okay, so let's get to the nitty-gritty. What exactly is code?
Code is something you use to make, people use it to make robots move.
All right, so to get to the heart of the matter, we call in an expert. Andrew Hazelton is a 6th grade experienced professional who helps out at the Code Club. He explains more about the program.
It progresses as you go, so it doesn't just throw you in the deep end, and you start out with simple things like just moving, but then you get into more complex things like conditions and looped conditions.
Like, I know what that means.
Yeah. So basically you start with just moving things, a set instructions that only works for that level. But then you get into loops, which can make the number of lines of code that you use smaller. And then you get into if statements, where if you have a level of the same type, it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but it goes by the same rules. You can reuse that program for that level. so that you don't have to write a new one just for that level.
Now, are these kids working towards something at the end of the school year? Is there a goal that they have?
Yeah, so we're doing the 20-hour course on this website, and at the end you'll get a certificate printed, and Mrs. Hay, the teacher, will 3D print something for you.
Does this advance from year to year? In other words, next year can these kids participate in a more advanced level of this?
They're only the teams, but for most people it takes about a year if you only work in Code Club, a year and a half maybe, I don't know. But about that to complete the whole course. And then on this website there are other courses where you can make your own Flappy Bird game. There are courses where you can program something involving Minecraft or Star Wars. There are lots of options.
Does this kind of lead up to getting involved in Lego or robotics things?
Yeah. I'm on the robotics team actually, the middle school robotics team, and a lot of our programmers went through Code Club first, where they learned how programming works, and then all they have to learn is new programming language, which we use, since they just use blocks that they drag around, but with robotics we use actual text. But they already know the core concepts of programming, so they don't have to know how certain statements work.
Now, I've heard something called the Hour of Code. You guys have participated in this in the past, I believe, right?
Yeah, the Hour of Code is basically you go into a classroom, and for an hour or so, they can program on one of these hours of code, and they don't have to create an account, but it just gives them a taste of programming so that they can maybe next year join Code Club.
Okay, get it? Got it. Back in a moment.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Each year they take in hundreds of dogs and bring them into suitable homes. A certified nonprofit organization, Canine Dog Rescue strives to give pound dogs a new leash on life. To donate, adopt, or even volunteer, call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website, dogsaver.org, and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.
Now let's get a little international. There's been a lot of talk about our international student program the last couple of years, bigger numbers, building a dorm, etc. There's been a recent change in the rules involving second-year international students. We caught up with International Student Coordinator Jill Lamont to get the news about the latest visa rules.
We received some additional guidance from SEVIS, which is the organization, a Department of Homeland Security that oversees immigration. Specifically, we have the authorization to issue visas for students, which is a different demarcation than some other visas, through SEVIS. And they had said to us that students could no longer be on our campus beyond 12 months.
How did this come about?
In fact, I'm not entirely sure. They didn't kind of let us know what the catalyst was for the initial conversations that we had with them, but we've been in discussions with SEVIS for months, asking for guidance and discussing our program, and has spoken with area reps and things like that. So I believe this written guidance was following some of those conversations.
So this definitely was just a thing between SEVIS and the Oxford School District. It wasn't as though they put out a new memo to every school in the country that they had to do things this way. Is that right?
Correct, but it is not something that only affects Oxford. So while the laws haven't changed, the interpretation was very clear. The communication to Oxford explained the law itself, the federal visa law, which does apply to all American public high schools.
We all know what's been going on in our community the last couple of years over this whole business. Did any of that prompt this, do you think?
I can only speculate. CVIS certainly has never, told us one way or another why we started these discussions. But it's likely that, that group may have had something to do with it, or some people in our community may have had something to do with the initial discussions. But truthfully, we have been asking for guidance since we began the program. And I think that it was such a gray area, and it was just, there are so few schools that were doing the cutting edge programming that we have been for years, that the guidance wasn't really available. And so now it's been provided to us. So I think it's actually a positive thing, and we've always done what we can to certainly stay within the boundaries of the law. And as soon as we got our new interpretation, the same day we were in meetings and discussions with our partners and with our college partners to make sure that we made the necessary changes to stay within the boundaries of the law. There's only a few key players who are designated school officials in this community, myself being one of them. And we've all been through the training for CVIS. We've all been very committed to following the laws and regulations since day one. I don't want to report that any group or any individual has made us more vigilant, because it's been an extreme focus since the beginning. Right. We're just learning new information, and so with that new information came new programming.
So how does this affect your program? What do you think about it? Is it hurting anything, or?
I think it's a little bit unfortunate for our current students that the effect had to take place so quickly. That's the only thing that was a little bit difficult to navigate. But we've come up with some good solutions for those students. We always want to put kids first. We're a school, and we're all about kids and making sure that they get their education. And we have students who are here who are depending on, our relationship to earn their high school diploma. And so once we were able to find some creative and completely legal ways for those students to complete their diplomas, I think there was a big sense of relief. And moving forward, I think it could be positive for future students. They're going to have college courses on their high school transcripts. That can only look good for them for future college prospects, whether they're in the U.S. or other countries. And we want to make sure that they're getting an adequate and a challenging course load before we give them an Oxford diploma. We're not just handing out diplomas, but they have to meet our graduation requirements. And so we were able to come up with a very creative partner solution with a lot of moving pieces to make sure that these students do meet our graduation requirements. It's not as big of a change as maybe it may have seemed like, because the students were already full-time Rochester College students prior to this. The law was already that students needed to be sponsored by another agency after 12 months. Mm-hmm. So Oxford Schools has not been sponsoring this group of senior, second-year students. Rochester College is already their F1 visa sponsor. Mm-hmm. So that's great. That's a huge win for us from a starting point. Now, beyond that, they need to attend those classes now on Rochester College's campus. They'll still be taking the same courses that we've already aligned with our, dual enrollment coursework, but they are not dual enrolled students. Now they will just be enrolled at Rochester College and performing on their campus.
Okay.
So it's the same courses that we already had slated for them for this semester. They'll just be taking them elsewhere.
Okay, now, legalities aside, how did the kids feel about this?
Some of them were a little bit relieved, I think, because they have to take fewer classes overall in the final semester of their senior year. So they have fewer courses that they'll be responsible for. They still have 12 college credits, but now they're not taking any additional high school electives. Okay, so some of them may be relieved. Some of them, I think, are definitely disappointed because they are going to miss their friends and their routine and things like that. But we're hoping that the Oxford community, and especially the Oxford students, domestic students, will continue those relationships. Rochester College is not very far away. The students don't live very far away, this year. So hopefully there'll be some sense of normalcy. And they have some very robust staff members that work for some of our partner organizations that will help with the transition and will be on campus with the students at Rochester College. Yeah, so we're not just dumping them on the campus to fend for themselves.
Will any of them have to change their residence? I know some kids are at home, some kids are
there are a few students who will be affected who were in host homes who will now be absorbed into the group housing scenario. The majority of students will stay in their host homes, and actually I was really touched by a few of the hosts are willing to personally make the drive to Rochester College on a almost daily basis for their student because they wanted to keep them in their home.
This program has been a great moneymaker for our district. I asked Jill about impact.
Honestly, not much. They were already paying full-time Rochester College credits. They were already paying for those tuition, and it's almost the identical cost for them to attend on campus. And they're just no longer sending adjunct professors. So the way it works out financially, it's very close. That wasn't the impact. The financial impact was not significant.
It was kind of like Oxford was getting paid, but we had to turn around and pay the tuition at Rochester.
Exactly. So in the second year, much of our tuition was going directly to Rochester College anyhow. Now it's just a little more streamlined. The kids can pay Rochester directly.
Jill emphasizes that we're always seeking guidance in these matters because of the complex rules and innovation of the program.
Something we have to keep in mind, John, is that the United States Immigration and Customs does not, tread lightly when it comes to regulations and making sure that all CVIS organizations, including ourselves, are within the boundaries of the law. We've heard of other districts who have received many different disciplinary measures, or something even as dramatic as just ripping away their ability to issue or to sponsor I-20 documentation for visas for students, period. We didn't receive any disciplinary action whatsoever. We received guidance. The information that we received was informational and allowed us to, at time and a specific amount of time, to make those changes to our program, and that's what we're doing. So I want to make that very clear. It wasn't a slap on the wrist. It wasn't anything like that. It was, we've investigated your program, we've looked at your program, we've spent quite a bit of time understanding the program model, because it is unique and because it is cutting edge, and now that we better understand it, we just want to nudge you in this direction, and so that you stay within the boundaries of the law.
And besides that, it would be a very poor business decision for a school district to get into trouble that way. There's a lot of money at stake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Just that, I mentioned the host families being supportive. Our school community and our teaching staff have really stepped up and have been in this international office, quite frequently, asking how they can help the students to transition to the college level, and what they can do, knowing that the students will no longer be on our campus. I think that's really a testament to just how committed our educators are and committed our families are, our hosts and other families, to making sure these students feel welcome and a part of this community. And I think it's really, really neat.
Just out of curiosity, here we are, we've gone through the holidays now, we're cruising towards spring, at least I hope we are. So I'm sure some of you folks are starting to think about next year. Is there going to be some visiting from folks, parents and stuff coming up for the international program?
We have some prospective parents that are going to be visiting the high school within the next week or two, and then we usually throughout the summer we often have visitors, or looking at our building. We give tours and things like that. We're also really looking to push into some other countries, which is something that we've wanted to do for a long time, and we've shifted our focus towards creating new partnerships in other parts of the world, as well as China, just to further enrich the diversity of the program.
Do you see any of that sort of thing happening for next year, or is that a little too soon?
We're hopeful. It may be too soon for students, but we're definitely looking at camps or short-term exchanges with other countries to try and get our feet wet and to try and start those partnerships. Partnerships can be very delicate, especially when you're working with people across the world, and from a school perspective and from our perspective, we want to be very conservative in who we work with, and make sure that we vet them properly and that we know exactly what kind of company we would be signing partnership deals with. So we do have a few different entities that we're speaking with, but we're moving slowly and diligently looking into those entities.
Got to be careful in these crazy times.
Absolutely.
Next, we bring the international students to the International Club. In Oxford, we take pride in our International Baccalaureate program. To help with international awareness, Daniel Axford Elementary has an international club. Chinese teacher Min Lu is in charge, but first let's find out a little about the teacher.
It's been like over 25 years. 25
Wow.
years.
Did you go to college in this country?
No, I finished the college in China. I
did
came
you?
here.
Uh-huh.
So basically, my life is like I spent half of my life in China, half here.
What convinced you to come here?
When I left China was just opening up to the outside world. A lot of young people wanted this opportunity of doing better for their life, right? So I was one of them, and I thought coming here will give me more chances of more exciting life.
Do you think that it did?
It did.
Okay,
It
good.
did, but things have changed so much. China has become a very exciting place now. I mean, a lot of things are happening, a lot of business, just lots of opportunities there.
Have you had a chance to go back?
Oh, all the time.
Okay, so what about this international club?
The initial thought was to help students to be open-minded, because to be open-minded, to me, I mean, it helps a student so much. They eventually will become a more knowledgeable person because they would want to learn more. They're more curious about things, and it will make them a more valuable contributing member of society, because once you understand other people, you'll be more willing to care and help, And also, I think it will make their life more interesting once they're more open-minded. It will make them happier because they will have easier time getting along with all kinds of people. They will have, easier time working with people from all kinds of backgrounds, and they will need to be doing that in the future. They will be working with people from different countries, different areas. So I think so. That was the initial thought, and we started very small because their age is just 7 and 8. So we try to do things more like hands-on activities. We do the first session. We invite a parent volunteer helped us. She came to teach us some polka dance from Poland. We found out a lot of students have connection with Poland. Their grandma or parents from Poland. So we learned dances, polka dance, and then we also learned how to say hello in all kinds of language. It was a very cute, fun song. We learned to sing that, and they also had so much fun, like playing even with chopsticks. I tell them people are all different. Even the things they eat with are different. Basic, like we use forks, people use chopsticks. So we experienced some, like they were picking up little paper-made dumplings from floor using chopsticks, and they had a lot of fun. And also, and then we have, and then we start doing Japanese origami, paper folding art, because origami is very fun once you learn that. And whenever you have extra time, you can do it. And also, it's very nice gift to give, to show your care and love when somebody's sick, or and also it can be a good decoration. So I think origami is a very so we introduced that to students, and we were making it, and so today the high school students from China, from high school, from Oxford High School, they will come here, help our kids make origami fish. So this also, I think, give them an opportunity to work with people from background. That's something that we want to provide them, an opportunity to work with people who are different, so that they will grow up being comfortable, doing so. Yeah.
Well, I imagine some of your students over here might have fun speaking a little bit of Chinese with some of the kids from the high school.
Yes, yes, and then this is the high school students already came last time, and my students couldn't even wait to practice their Chinese with them. They asked me, Miss Liu, can I ask in Chinese? I said, of course you should. I mean, this is a very precious opportunity. You can really use your language skill. So they were really, really excited. They were so excited. Even yesterday, they asked me, can we speak Chinese in front of camera? They thought you would interview them too. I said, yes, do, show off your Chinese skill. And after that, they were playing Chinese games by the bus because my summer bus students have jobs holding the sign. I saw them playing the game we do inside the classroom outside by the bus in Chinese language. So it is so cool. And they're really, really excited about learning about other cultures, other people, and I think it's just very it's just like we plant a seed.
Rita Flynn is one of the IB coordinators. Daniel Axford is going through an IB recertification this year, and the club ties into the program.
It is a very rigorous process in which they thoroughly look through everything that we do here, from how we collaborate to our curriculum to our teaching strategies within the classroom to our assessments, and then that whole piece of really building that whole child in the sense of, well, we want our students to be academically sound, but we also want them to be really great people, and how do we get them to do that? And having this international student club is another layer to encouraging our students to be great people. I just really would love for more people to come and see what we do here, because it is extraordinary, and our teachers are just very dedicated and constantly growing and becoming more internationally minded themselves. And I think anytime that we can really strengthen that continuum of having our second graders work with our high schoolers in that capacity, I would like to continue to nurture that. And any ideas and ways that we can do that, I'm hoping that we can just expand that.
Yeah. By the way, Happy Chinese New Year after this.
A small town with a lot of heart and history. A hidden gem with a sense of community. Welcome to Leonard.
If you happen to wander into the high school cafeteria towards the end of January, you may have noticed a few Chinese dumplings. They're called jiaosa. They were being made by some special guest cooks in the back in honor of the Year of the Rooster. Here's International Coordinator Chun Chun Tang and her crew.
I'm here with our guest teachers from Chongqing and also my mom who's visiting for the holiday. We're trying to make dumplings for all of our students, American and international, in honor of the Chinese New Year. This embarks a new chapter for the lunar calendar of Chinese New Year. It will be the Year of Rooster.
And this isn't like General Tso's chicken. This is really Chinese.
This is, these dumplings, I can see, are made by these three ladies. They're as authentic as they can get.
So let's check this out with the kids.
Okay, so are you guys eating Chinese today?
Yes.
You're not about Chinese New Year? Is that what this is?
I think so.
Let's hear the rooster.
Thank you, hon.
Let's see what you got here. Wow. That looks pretty authentic to me. I love it.
I like the chicken. I love chicken, so.
I think it tastes pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I like Asian food. It tastes not bad.
Chun Chun's mom was back there making some of that.
She was? Wow. Impressive.
Okay, but for a really professional opinion, we turn to the coach to comment on jiaosa in the Year of the Rooster.
Jiaosa, brother, jiaosa. Triple awesome, thank you. Hey, cinnamon rolls, I love those too. Yes, the rooster. Yeah, I love roosters.
Well, yes, I hope you wrote that down. Thanks to Russell Courier at the controls, Dan Zweiss at the editing desk, and you for watching. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.